Merhaba, and thank you too, of course, for having me here today. Well, the topic now will be email marketing. Email is quite an old marketing channel, you all know that. It's more than 40 years old, older than the World Wide Web itself. So, well, the question may be, are there still new trends for us marketers to explore? New worlds? Well, let's have a look. First, a little introduction. Who am I? My name is Rene Kulka. I'm working for Optivo already for 6 years as a corporate blogger. So my job is primarily to write about email marketing, best practices, and trends. I also wrote a book 2 years ago on that topic, more than 900 pages. If you speak German, you might want to check it out. Optivo originally started as an email marketing company, so our clients used our software and still use our software to send out their email newsletters. Today, it incorporates much more channels. Let it be the original email or print mailings or push notifications, mobile push, text messages, and so on. We developed to a cross-channel platform here. There also occurred a major event in 2013 when we were acquired from the Deutsche Post DHL Group, a major logistics company and mail provider. And today, well, we are serving more than 1,000 clients. I have over 100 colleagues here in 4 locations, and our software is available in 6 languages. One among these is, of course, Turkish. Now, well, before we go into the details here, into the trends, I want to have a look at the state of email by the numbers, have a look at some statistics. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me it often seems there is no other digital marketing channel that has been said to be dead as often as email. Look at all the killer applications in the past that we had, let it be Facebook or Google Wave. You probably remember they started it, I think, in 2009, and it was shut down a few months after that because it just didn't work out. Or let it be WhatsApp. And if you look at the numbers today, those are numbers from Eurostat, the European Statistics Bureau. The darker the red on the left side, the more people in that country use email regularly to communicate. On the right side, the social networks like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. What we got there. And in most countries, in almost any country, email is far ahead of social media usage, with one exception, to my surprise, and that's Turkey here. I spoke to some people and they confirmed that really Turkish people are much more communicating recently via social networks than via email. But in the end, from the marketing perspective, I think there's no way around email, because think about all that advantages that come with email. You got the personalized communication with your own data. It's a data-driven tool. It's very cost efficient to mail, and as we see here in most countries, it has a great reach advantage. You can reach out to almost anyone in your target groups. All these advantages also pay off on the revenue side here. Some statistics from Customer, who track, I think it's around 200 US-based retailers, and you can see that almost 60% of all transactions go back to email. That's a lot. Email really sells, whereas everyone talks about social media marketing, just 1%. It's close to nothing. It goes back to social, meaning, well, if you plan where to place your budgets, please don't forget about email. Email is also changing. Well, one mega trend that influenced the whole World Wide Web, of course, was mobile. And well, if you think back, for example, at 2011, there occurred maybe 15% or 17% of email opens on mobile devices, whereas today we are heading for the 50% mark, and that's quite a lot. At the same time, mobile email marketing works a little bit different than classical email marketing. And if you put both together, new game rules and 50% of email opens occurring on mobile devices. And one thing here must be clear, that a responsive design today is a must. So responsive design, meaning an email design, using an email design that automatically adapts to the environment. So if you open your email on a smaller screen, it automatically resizes, for example, the font, so it's easier to read, the buttons, so it's easier to tap. It may fade out secondary messages, so you can really focus on the primary message and things like that. All that runs more or less automatically using mobile optimized templates. The mobile path has not come to an end. I don't know how many of you already use such devices here, but this will surely come. So we're heading for even smaller screen sizes here and new challenges because the rendering capabilities are more restricted and you got even less space to communicate, for example, your from name or your subject line, which should animate your recipient to open your emails. But let's talk about that when it came, so maybe on the next Webrazzi here. When we speak of changes, there popped up many specialized small providers in the email marketing sphere in the last month or years. And when marketers think of email marketing, they first and foremost think of the email service providers. Let it be Optivo, where I work for, or let it be MailChimp or the services from Amazon. But there's much more going on there. For example, if you just think of what do we have here, the predictive analytics branch, which you see here on about 2 o'clock. There are many specialized companies that offer services in that direction, or at 9 o'clock here, the Agile email marketing approach. We come to that in a bit. But first, I want to direct your eye to an evergreen trend topic. I think that's the topic an email consultant is asked very often, and it's the topic of deliverability. How can I, as a marketer, make sure that my emails really make it into the inboxes and pass the spam filters? So, what's spam? Of course, it originally is a meat product, but in terms of digital messaging, well, it's the use of electronic messaging systems to send unsolicited emails. That's the key point here, unsolicited. The user never asked for those emails. They are pushed into his inbox and maybe unwanted. And spam is a big problem. Look at those numbers here from the Cisco sender base security network. This tells you two things mainly. One thing is that the email volume over time is rapidly growing. For example, alone from July to August this year, we had an increase in email volume according to those stats from nearly 100%. It doubled. And another important aspect here is that most emails are spam. 9 out of 10 emails are spam. And from our marketing perspective, we have to see that when there's much danger from spam coming, the spam filters get more restricted. There are some gatekeepers for the customers of Gmail, of Yahoo Mail, of Outlook.com, and whatever they may be called. And at the same time, the rules, how emails are classified as spam or ham in the background by those filters, which features come to play with all those machine learning in the background, with which weights they come to play, that's secret. We don't know that as marketers, but one thing we always can rely on here is the best practices. And we come to that in a bit. When we talk about spam, a technical definition like that from Wikipedia is not enough for us as marketers. We have to look at what the recipients think is spam, and that's a lot more. For example, if you take the top one to the left, I don't recognize the sender. If you send your newsletters with a from name that just says newsletter, and the user sees that in his inbox, it doesn't tell him something because he cannot connect your brand with the newsletter, and he may just say, well, I don't know newsletter, I mark this email as spam, and that's bad for you. Oh, another big one here. Look at emails come too frequently. If you send your newsletters on a daily basis and have not tied enough value to each of those emails, then also the recipient might say, no, this is spam, I mark that as spam, and this will hurt your reputation. And that's what it is all about in terms of deliverability, managing your reputation. There are several factors that play a role there. For example, the bounce management. Bounce in email marketing is a little bit different than a bounce in web analytics. In email marketing, it's a deliverability, it's a delivery failure. So the receiving server sends back the email with an error message. You got permanent failures, like for example, the inbox doesn't exist. You got temporary failures, the inbox is momentarily full. And the point here is your system or you have to clean your list from those bounces, because otherwise the Gmail will think, well, this sender does a bad list hygiene, and that's a bad signal because only spammers do that. Or the spam complaints. We talked about that just a few seconds ago. If the user hits the spam button in the web interface, that's also bad for you because it hurts your deliverability. It's a clear signal for Gmail that those emails are really unwanted, and Gmail will protect the users in the future from those emails. The good point here is your reputation is measurable, and if something is measurable, you can also manage it. For example, have a look at senderscore.org. It's a service from Return Pass, and you can have a look at what your reputation from your mail server IPs really is. You see the indicators here, like the complaint rate, how many users marked your emails as spam. You can also see the bounce rate here. It is titled the unknown users, which is a permanent bounce. The inbox doesn't exist. And there are also other tools, even from Gmail. We got one. Gmail recently released the Gmail Postmaster tools. You can subscribe to these data points and see, for example, your IP reputation. And not only this, it's a common misconception. You don't just have an IP reputation, you also have a domain reputation, a reputation tied to your domain. So it's, if you got deliverability problems, you cannot solve them just by switching your email service providers and get new IP addresses where you send from. No, because, as I said, the reputation is also tied to your brand. You got to manage your reputation. That's the key point here. All those things we just talked about, well, I didn't make them up. There are no secrets. They are written out here in the bulk sender guidelines. For example, from Gmail or the Postmaster guidelines from Yahoo Mail. So you can read them everywhere. And I strongly recommend you to read through those rules. I just want to point out one thing here that's very important. Because when it comes to list building, how you generate your email addresses, then Gmail not only recommends you, but forces you to build your list by using opt-in. So if you imagine a checkbox on your website, it must not be pre-filled. The checkbox next to, yes, I want the newsletter, but the user actively has to mark it. That's an opt-in. And additionally, Gmail also recommends you to verify each email address. That's called double opt-in. That's important. And not only Gmail forces you, we had the ecosystem slide and saw all the players that play the email marketing game. Think, for example, of the anti-spam organizations like Spamhaus. It's a very important one. If you get blacklisted at Spamhaus, then you really got deliverability problems. And they say clearly, opt out, emails are spam. No matter what the legal requirements say, they may be lower than double opt-in. But here it is clear, it's spam. The only thing that's not spam is confirmed or closed loop opt-in. They call it here, it's a synonym for double opt-in. Now, as a quick recaller, many of you may know it, but we talked about double opt-in, single opt-in, and all those stuff. What's the difference? Well, single opt-in, you have your web form that asks you for the email address, and if the user enters it, clicks submit, the email address is submitted to the database and gets newsletters afterwards. That's a bad idea to do that because everyone can enter everyone's email address. And we have seen definition of spam, unsolicited, unwanted email is spam. So you will surely send spam mails by using single opt-in. We have the confirmed opt-in, it's just a little bit better, but still no good because the difference is after the email address has been submitted, you get a confirmation email that thanks you for the subscription. The only thing that really works is the double opt-in, and double opt-in meaning you get a confirmation email that holds a confirmation link, and only if the user who has access to the inbox really clicks the link and confirms his wish to subscribe to the newsletter, then it is entered in the database, and this is the only thing recommended by ISPs and anti-spam organizations that prevents you from unsolicited emails. Now, to tell you the truth, with using double opt-in, you will also lose email addresses because not everyone may click the confirmation link. But in the end, you got a real quality list, and that pays off when you look at your KPIs. For example, you got higher open rates with double opt-in, you got higher click rates, less unsubscribes, less hard bounces. We talked about that, managing your reputation, and in the end, I say it's worth it. So if you really want high inbox placement rates, and recent statistics say 20% of all emails don't make it in the inbox, so it's a real problem. If you want to get high inbox placement rates, then you have to manage your reputation, and managing your reputation begins with list building, and that has to be double opt-in. Now, let's move on to a different topic, segmentation analytics and automation. I don't know how many of you send just one email to the whole list, or who tailors his email marketing efforts to different segments. Let it be, for example, male or female users, or younger users and older users, or prospects and loyal customers. And that's important to do so if you want to have effective email marketing, because if you compare prospects to loyal customers, they have different demands for information. The prospect doesn't know much about you, and you have to build trust so that he buys, whereas the loyal customer has purchased many times. So segmentation is important. Also analytics, we got more and more data points available in email marketing with all those interfaces to the CRM and other things. And modern email marketing tools really allow you to dive into that, to identify your segments, what makes them unique, and well, how to build your email campaigns. It's just a fictional example. Well, if we talk about analytics, analytics mostly begins with visualizations. That's also a thing modern cross-marketing channel solutions offer you. It's called a mosaic plot here. You got on the y-axis, on the vertical axis here, the subscriber segments by value. A subscribers are most valuable, and on the y-axis you got them segmented by activity level. And you see here immediately that only a small percentage of your subscribers is active, and also important that you got a rather big segment, a big rectangle here of inactive subscribers right on top that have a high value. So those customers or subscribers have bought with you, and for whatever reason they have gone inactive. So it's a good idea here to set up a triggered reactivation campaign and do it in a cross-channel way, because modern or email marketing solutions are nowadays cross-channel solutions. For example, build a reactivation campaign with a text message follow-up. It has never been easier to do so here. The goal, as I said, is to move them to the left side here to get them back into the active segment. And this is a screenshot, for example, how it looks in a solution. You have your notes, your worksheet. You can visually create your campaigns here and have a conditional branch. And if, for example, the recipient didn't click in the first attempt of the reactivation email, and if it's a customer who is inactive, maybe inactivity defined by have not clicked for 6 months or something like that, then another text message is triggered. Or a different segment here. Maybe this segment has a great mobile affinity. Many of them have installed your app. Why not send them a mobile push notification? That's also possible. You can see here, you can customize the message, preview it, how it looks like on the mobile device, and send it out. Well, that's a theory. Of course, it also works quite well in practice. Here's a case from our customer InnoGames. He's specialized in browser games and does quite a lot with big data. There's so many data points and really complex campaigns, automated campaigns set up. For example, here's one which is set up in 20 languages, so highly segmented. And it's easy to do so. You have your trigger that defines the send-out time. You have the market selection. If it's a German recipient, he gets a different mailing than if it's a Turkish recipient. And the good thing here is you can not only visually create your campaigns and conceptualize them, but you can also do the controlling because you have all the relevant KPIs in one view. Let it be the open rate and the click rate. You can compare your markets and drill down in what makes the difference. Now, this works, as the numbers tell you here. They have quite high average open rates of more than 20% using this approach here, and also very high click-through rates. Let's get to the third topic. I initially called it Agile email marketing. Well, if you think of classical email marketing, then you personalize your email, it is dispatched, and after it landed in the inbox, it is static. You have no control over the content anymore. Modern approaches allow you to do things like that here. To pull in, for example, live tweets in real time into your emails. So you got a placeholder, an image placeholder in your email at the bottom. And for example, if you got a cool price draw running or an event like hashtag Webrazzi 15, you can pull in the tweets and motivate your people, your subscribers to participate in the discussion. There are many other applications. For example, you can put in live countdowns that count down until the offer ends and generate some pressure to act. So this raises your click rate and conversion rate. Or if you think of geolocated content, if you open the email on the East Coast, you get a different map to the next shop than when you open it on the West Coast here. And this increases the likelihood that the recipient visits the shop and buys something. As I said, many more applications. My favorite one here is this one, the product recommendations. Imagine, for example, you are Mr. Schmidt from Germany. You put this short in your basket and buy it. And several days later on, you get the regular newsletter that has the normal sales specials, maybe customized for mail subscribers. And the cool thing happens here at the bottom of the email. You see an empty paragraph, and this is where the magic happens. When the email is opened, the platform in the background looks at what Mr. Schmidt did in the recent past, in what he clicked, what he viewed, what he bought, and the algorithm sees that Mr. Schmidt bought these trousers here, and the algorithm also looks at what similar people who also bought would have viewed this bought, and then in the end you got real-time personalized recommendations here. And this also works. It's very efficient because what do you have to do? Well, you have to put a pixel or JavaScript code into your web shop and also put a little HTML snippet in your email template, and all the magic behind the machine learning, the building of the recommendations that works in the background. This works quite well. As you can see, for example, here at our customer rebuy, they tested it. It's a post-purchase email, so an email that is triggered after someone purchased the product here. And on the left side, you see the classical recommendations, the top sellers, they are static. On the right side, you see the result of the real-time personalized communication that vary at the time of an email open. And you got an immense uplift here. So let's sum it up what we talked about in the last minutes here. We talked about inbox placement, how to get your emails delivered into the inbox, and that this means managing your reputation. Your reputation begins with list building, and every important player like Gmail and like the anti-spam organizations, they force you to use double opt-in. We also talked about segmentation, analytics, and cross-channel automation, and have seen by the InnoGames case that segmentation is really a useful thing to do if you want to do effective email marketing, and we have seen that it has been never easier as before, as now, to do so. And last but not least, we had a little outlook in real-time live content that is pulled in at the time of the email open. Okay. Well, if you have questions, or if you want to have a look into the software and get to know more about it, feel free to visit our booth in the 4th floor at our partner here, Matrix 34. Thank you. Teşekkür.